Hi, I'm a mathematician and I know why Terence Howard thinks that 1 times 1 is equal to 2. Let's take a look at his tweet. So, this is the proof. I'm gonna stop him right there because it's already wrong. This is not a proof. You are going into the first equation assuming that 1 times 1 is equal to 2. That's not how you prove 1 times 1 equals 2. You have to derive it. You can't just assume it at the start. And then on the other pages he talks about the sky people. But let's keep going. So he starts by using some difficult words to make himself appear smart, even though he's using all of these words incorrectly. He's talking about the associative and the commutative law, even though that's not how the commutative and the associative law works. In order to be able to use the associative law, you need 3 numbers that are all multiplied by each other. You have 2 numbers. So the associative law means that in multiplication, it doesn't matter in which order you multiply numbers if you have more than 2. I don't know where would he even need that information here, because you're multiplying 2 numbers, you have 1 times 1. If it was like 1 times 1 times 1, then maybe you could find a place to use the associative law. And the commutative law means that when you're multiplying 2 numbers by each other, like let's say 5 times 2, it's just the same thing as if you multiplied 2 times 5. The order does not matter. I don't know why he's bringing this up when you're multiplying 1 by 1. Like 1 by 1 and 1 by 1 is just the same thing. So in the paper it says when a and b are positive integers, that a is to be added to itself as many times as there are units in b. Associative and commutative law. That's not what the associative and commutative law is, buddy. You made this up. That's not a thing. On page 2, he starts doing some operations on this 1 times 1, tries adding 1 and subtracting 1 from both sides. But he is assuming always that 1 times 1 is equal to 2, so he gets everything wrong. And then he's like, see guys, I got it wrong. That means 1 times 1 cannot be equal to 1. There's no logic in this. Don't try to understand it, because you can't. Terence is not proving anything, he's just saying bool sh star t. That's what he actually wrote in his quote-unquote proof. And then we get to the 3rd page where he starts talking about the sky people. I genuinely want to know what Terence was on when he was writing this, because he literally ends the paper by saying to infinity and beyond. So a story from my own experience. Here in Poland we have like these final exams, they're called matura, and you take them from a few different subjects. So for example, the mathematical matura is said to be really difficult in Poland. The average of all kids in the whole country is like 16%. So I got 98% on it, and so when I heard the results that I got a 98% from my mathematical matura, I was sad, and I immediately checked what was my one mistake, because 98% means you had one mistake. And that one mistake was in the question where you had to prove that some equation is correct. Now I understand what I did wrong. It's because I forgot to mention the sky people, and I didn't finish it off by saying to infinity and beyond. I want to know what you guys think about this paper. Do you guys think that Terence Howard was drunk when writing this, or do you think that he was high? Or maybe do you think he was both? And at the end of the paper he says that it's not just 1 times 1 that equals 2, it's also 1 times 2 that equals 3, 1 times 4 equals 5, and so on. I think I know what Terence Howard might get wrong. See, if you tilt your head, the x looks kind of like a plus, and if you replace the x with a plus, it's all correct! But jokes aside, this may surprise you, but Terence Howard actually has a decent take when it comes to talking about zero in math. You see, he says that zero should not exist because you can't multiply things by nothing. And I actually agree on this one. You can't multiply by zero in math. That shouldn't be a thing. Like in school they teach you that 1 times 0 is 0, that anything multiplied by 0 is 0. But if you think too hard about it, if that really was the case, then you could make false equations, like let's say 1 equals 2, you could make them correct by multiplying both sides by 0. Alright? Because then you have 0 equals 0, which is correct. And you can't turn an incorrect equation into a correct one. I mean, you can, by multiplying both sides by 0. That's why multiplying by 0 should not be allowed. Or they should change it. In my professional opinion, 1 times 0 and 2 times 0 should not be the same thing. If you assume that these numbers were different, you could maybe even divide by 0. I know everybody thinks that it's impossible, but if you just assume that these numbers are not the same, then it can be possible. Because that's the problem in current math. If you have 0 divided by 0, you can represent 0 as, 1 times 0, 2 times 0, 3 times 0, you can represent it as whatever you want. And when the zeros cancel out, you can make 0 times 0 equal to any real number, or not even real number, any complex number. You can make it equal to anything, 0 divided by 0. And when you have a number that can be equal to anything, that just means that you don't actually know the value of this number. Hey, I'm just trying to improve math by making a number that can satisfy an equation that we don't really know how to answer yet. I'm getting off topic. Terence Howard thinks that 1 times 1 is equal to 2 because he does not understand the difference between multiplication and addition. Subscribe to my videos and like my YouTube channel. Bye!